Hey, it's MK, and I am back with Scrappin on a Ship. I am also being inspired by Ashley, who is known as the Scrapping Nerd on Instagram as well as on YouTube. So go check out her channel. I will have a link down below for her channel. Also, I am going to be using these wood veneer pieces and this metal piece. The wood veneer pieces are from my shop, except for the word Nassau. I made those specifically for the cruisers that went on the cruise with us. There's also a different set that had icons with the words, but I chose just the words. My metal piece was from that cruise kit that I purchased while on the cruise. I have a couple pieces from the chipboard word set, as well as one of the kits for the enamel dots. My favorite is Twine in the Whole Wide World. This is the cluster kit. I was really drawn toward the yellow elements, so I'm going to try to recreate some of those based off of my photos of us sitting next to this yellow like docking post. I don't know. From Cocoa Vanilla, 'Tis the Season. I really liked the light blue alphas down at the bottom. From 49 and Market Beached Collection, I'm going to be using another one of these cartography papers that I had in my stash. I just really like the mix of the darks and the lights in there. So I'm going to pull off of the darks as well as the blue and the pink. So from the blue, I've got this Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Coastal, just the plain paper. I'm going to use that blue from the plain papers. And then also from Coastal, I'm going to be using the Beach Vibes. Now, I used this side already on one piece, but I think I'm going to end up using the pink side. I know, I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone here, guys, and adding a lot of pink to this layout, but I also think it's bright and fun and cheery. So I think it's going to go really well. All right, from Antique Shop, the Minte one, I'm using paper number 2, which is this gorgeous wood grain. And it's also got this beautiful piece in the background, but yeah, I definitely bought this for the wood grain. So I would have loved to use the other side on a different layout, but I'm not sure. I'd have to have a think on that because I did buy a couple of these sheets of paper just because of the fact that I really loved this really super dark wood grain. Okay, I'm also going to be ripping the bottom half of this, and normally when I know I'm just going to be needing 2 pieces, I will use my tearing ruler for just one side and then use my trimmer for the other side. So I'm going to do that for actually both pieces, for the striped and the pink. So that way I don't have 2 tearing edges and then leave my paper that is a scrap with a torn edge. So that's just what I'm going to do. I'm also going to, the 49 and Market paper is uber super thick. So when I do end up tearing it, I end up with a raw edge that doesn't distress well when I use my distressing tool. So, and no, I don't need to use my distressing tool because the edges are already ripped, but I choose to. I want to use my distressing tool just to give it a little bit more body to the, a little bit more feel to the ripped edge. Give it that distressed look. I'm also taking some of this corrugated paper, which I do have some. I'm going to be bringing it to the shop here shortly, hopefully during this month. I'm going to be bringing a couple little sneak peeks into the shop this month. So I've been working on it. That's why some of my videos have not been coming up on the channel because I've just got too many things coming up and the weather is starting to get nice. And so that's when we start doing yard work. And so that's going to take me away from some of my crafting time as well. But that's okay. So here I am just distressing the edges. These are pictures of Janet, myself, and Sandy walking back from our day at Nassau. It is the end of the day, and we are called back to the ship. It is actually everybody's responsibility to know what time. And what's really cool is Royal has an app for you, and you can just look on the app, and it specifically says that the people need to be on board at this time, the crew needs to be boarded at this time. And the gangway is pulled up at this time. So I really do like how there's constant reminders of, they don't leave you guessing or trying to remember what time you have to be back at the ship. So, yes, we all went back. And I thought that this, seeing the boat anchored and all those huge ropes that they used to keep the boat in dock was a pretty cool picture. Of course, I only got it at the one dock because, I'm fascinated by stuff like that. But then I go through and I don't need 600 pictures of the boat being docked, right? It just was, it was cool because it was our first port, basically. And then after that, it was... I'm too busy trying to figure out, or not trying to figure out, but enjoying the ports. So I went ahead and, like what Ashley did in her page, she used a very muted piece on top and then a statement piece, what I feel like is a statement piece, in the background of her muted paper, and then applied it to a wood grain background. And so that is... I'm basically lifting her, you guys. I wasn't inspired by her. I am technically lifting her because I really did enjoy this layout of Ashley's and the simplicity in it as well. And so sometimes you want a simplistic layout so that way your photos can shine. Oh my gosh, I'm tripping over myself yet again. And I'm wrapping some twine around my corrugated paper. It didn't work exactly as I imagined it, so I decided, okay, well then if you're not going to cooperate, then I'll just do it my way. And I'm gluing one end down. So I put double-sided tape on my corrugated. I glued one end down, and now I'm gluing the other end down because I didn't want it to be behind my layout. So that way the other layout that I haven't made yet that goes in my page protector with this one doesn't get snagged on those little leftover twines. So I'm going to do the exact same thing here. I'm wrapping my twine. I'm not wrapping it twice, but I am using 2 strands of said twine, but I am tucking it behind so it does look like it is wrapped around my layout. I am not going to be adding the little buttons on there. I just really didn't feel like it went well with my clusters. So, but I did bring in the enamel dots. Now I'm also tucking my photos underneath that twine. I thought it was pretty cool to see my photos wrapped around the twine as well. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool looking. So let's see if I can make it work. And then have my embellishments tucked behind and on top of the twine. And then that way they're interacting with the twine, just like the buttons are on Ashley's layout. So I really was drawn toward all the yellow elements in this cluster kit. I really liked how those two clusters were made. The one that kind of wraps around the bottom half of two photos. So I'm going to build that around my large photo. And then I liked the left side of the one with the pineapple. I'm not going to use the pineapple because I only want to use the left side, but I'm also incorporating smaller elements because I don't need such a giant cluster. So because the lifeguard tower was so big in my cluster kit, I went ahead and I pulled out the smaller lighthouse tower or guardhouse lifeguard tower from the other laser kit, and then the same thing with the seahorse. The seahorse was also too big, so I pulled out the smaller seahorse from the laser set, but I got my inspiration from the cluster kit. So keep that in mind as well. If you only bought the laser pieces but didn't buy the cluster kit, you can always go online, see what the cluster kit is, and then recreate it with the laser kit instead of having to buy both kits. But, I'm a sucker and I got sucked into buying both kits, which is fine. I'm also trying to, make my greenery go farther. And instead of using 2 pieces of greenery, I'm actually going to cut mine in half and end up using the one piece in 2 spots. And I just like that little splash of green. I didn't necessarily need it on my layout, but I do like it in addition to. And then of course I'm going to be adding my own wood pieces into these clusters instead of completely copycatting all of the things. And then I'm going to change the sentiments with those chipboard pieces that I picked out originally in the beginning. For the smaller cluster, the pineapple cluster that says the word sweet, I don't know, exactly what I'm doing, but I thought, oh my gosh, this white flower cluster here works really well. Even though it doesn't look exactly like the one that they could have used, it's close enough, right? And I like I said, I'm not going for exact. And then the same with the yellow flowers. At first I picked out these tiny little yellow flowers, again from the laser set, not from the cluster kit. And then I decided to switch them up to a larger set of flowers because I don't need the boat, the ship, to say Oasis of the Sea 3 different times. So I thought it would be okay if I covered up the one that Sandy is leaning against. And then I'm also bringing in some of that pink twine, faux twine, I should say, that was also from the laser kit, from the laser set instead of the cluster kit, because I like how it looks like I've got some strings and things hanging in. It's I don't know how to do it. So on my metal piece, I'm going to be I'm going to be sticking this typed font that says Port of, and I thought it was a really cool addition with the metal ship, and we're standing next to a bunch of ships. Well, no, we're standing next to one ship a bunch of times. How's that? And so I was going to use the word Nassau, so it says Port of Nassau, using the boat, and then of course my pre-printed word that I had. And I did have to take off the masking. So most of my wood pieces, and I say most of my wood pieces come with a masking. Every now and then you guys will get, or someone will get, one piece that does not have a masking on it. And the reason that is because when I go to print off all of my wood pieces for the shop, like to replenish the shop, I do check one of the pieces where I feel like it may have not come out 110%, right? It might have an issue with it. And so I will peel that off and check it. And if it's good enough, I will put it in the shop. And then that's the one piece that somebody doesn't have to worry about. But the reason I don't do it for every single one of them is, for one, for one, it's time consuming. As you can see here, this is just pulling off the adhesive back, and it is time consuming, and I feel like it would bring the cost of my pieces up because of how much time it would take me to pull off the masking for everybody instead of one person doing it one time for themselves. Does that make sense? So I'm also using my tweezers to pull off on Nassau because of how delicate it was. Normally in my tutorial for my wood of how to take the masking off, which I used to include in all of, like a QR code in all of my packages, I stopped doing that because a lot of people don't know what it's for. Like, is it a discount code? What is it? And it's not. It is just a tutorial on how to take the masking off. And then I went ahead and I put it on my website instead. So it's directly attached to my website in case anybody has any issues with their masking. And the way that I have it is using a large, a piece of duct tape or something, or a strong adhesive to take that off, because of the fact that it's super quick and gets off a lot of tiny little pieces like what's in my dolphin geotag up there. And so I just feel like that's quicker, but on more delicate pieces like that, I recommend hand picking because you don't want the piece to break. But if it does break, you always just put it right next to each other and it looks really good too. So anywho, I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of my pieces together. Now, some of my pieces still have my older adhesive on the back. So it is a white sticker like what my retro summer piece had on the back. But my current ones, my newer ones, all have a 3M adhesive. They are both really good, strong adhesives. Once they stick, they stick. However, the 3M is thinner. And so I felt like it was not taking away from the 16th inch, where the off-brand white, even though it was excellent adhesive, it definitely was adding a thickness to my pieces. So just trying to keep it as thin as possible for scrapbooking. I took my little paper clip from the kit and I split it in half so that way I didn't have this uber super thick piece. It's thinner than 1/8 of an inch once you split them in half. And I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't really need that metal piece showing that it was a clothespin, not a paper clip. And so then I was able to get 2 clothespins out of 1. So I was stretching my supplies just a little bit. Do I need that? No, but but it's nice to have them on the thinner scale and not have such a thick one. Now, I definitely could have turned it on its side and made it look like it was going that way, but I'm okay with splitting it in half, and then it looks like I've got it attached to my little pink ribbon, and then, of course, down below it looks like it's attached to the string-a-ma-things. So that is my layout. I love the addition of the yellow and how much it pops off the photos, like how much it plays on those yellow anchors that we're standing next to. So I'm super glad that I brought in the yellow. I'm super glad that the yellow has that pink in the center of it to bring in that pink. And then, of course, everything's blue. I think Janet purposely coordinated all of her outfits to match the boat because all of her photos were amazing. Every single photo that she took along this cruise was fabulous. And I think she did that on purpose. All right, Ashley, thank you so much for allowing me to lift you today. I was so inspired by your layout. It was amazing. So don't forget to check out all the links down below. I've got May I Scraplift You playlist link as well as Janet Fritz's channel because she is scrapping on a ship with me all month long, except for the few videos that I missed. I apologize. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I truly appreciate it every day, and I'm sorry for my lack of appearance, but I have to get my life together. Yes, I do. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much, and I will check y'all later. Bye.